Time for Countdown's number 2 story, tonight's worst persons in the world of bronze. To right-wing documentarian, failed sportscaster, and Sarah Palin would-be groupie John Ziegler, the guy who once scared her by showing her a picture of me. Speaking at the Conservatives' Coven, he unloaded on conservatives who criticized La Palin or each other. Quote, "A lot of us end up selling out to the other side for a guest spot on Meet the Press or Larry King Live because they know that a conservative saying something bad about another conservative is automatically going to be newsworthy and get them a higher profile. Well, those people ought to be ostracized and punished. And this goes far deeper than those who are traitors for a spot on Meet the Press. I mean, this goes throughout the entire organizational structure of the conservative movement. They do not take this issue seriously. They do not protect their own." By the way, Bobby Jindal's going on Larry King this week. Well, good. Stay off Meet the Press and CNN. Isolate yourselves even further. But bigger than that, you're calling conservatives who criticize conservatives traitors. Didn't you just criticize conservatives? Our runner-up, Mary Matlin, went on the Today Show and got Governor Bobby, let me tell you a story, Jindal into more hot water. He's the greatest public policy innovator in the country today, she said. Bobby Jindal has made more progress in Louisiana in the shortest period of time in the history of the state and probably in the country. Education reform and ethics reform, everything that put Louisiana down in scale is now one of the top states in the country. The annual report card on education in the states by Education Week for 2007, Louisiana 21st best. The annual report card on education in the states by Education Week for 2008, Louisiana 35th best. And this comes from a press release issued in January by the Louisiana Department of Education. But our winner, Billo the Clown, once again getting a well-meaning charity into trouble. In 2007, it was the Naples, Florida branch of the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, which had invited O'Reilly to be its keynote speaker at a fundraiser just weeks after he had claimed that when 11-year-old Sean Hornbeck was kidnapped by a pizzeria manager and held captive for 2 years, quote, "The situation here for this kid looks to me to be a lot more fun than what he had under his old parents. He didn't have to go to school. He could run around, do what he wanted. I think when it all comes down, what's going to happen is there was an element here that this kid liked about his circumstances. This kid was repeatedly raped and abused by his abductor for 2 years. After a few weeks, the Center for Missing and Exploited Children quietly announced that there had been a scheduling conflict and Mr. O'Reilly would no longer be appearing at its event. Well, now it's happened to the It Happened to Alexa Foundation, which has invited O'Reilly to speak at its fundraiser 2 weeks from Thursday in Palm Beach, Florida. It is a group that supports rape survivors. On August 2nd, 2006, on the air, O'Reilly blamed a rape and murder victim for her own terrible death. So anyway, he said, these 2 girls come in from the suburbs and they get bombed and their car is towed because they're moronic girls and, you know, they don't have a car. Jennifer Moore, 18, on her way to college. She was 5'2", 105 pounds, wearing a mini skirt and a halter top with a bare midriff. Now again, there you go. So every predator in the world is going to pick that up at 2 in the morning. Translation, she was asking for it. The assumption is that the It Happened to Alexa Foundation was not aware of O'Reilly's attitude that the victim is sometimes to blame, or they would not possibly have extended the invitation. One assumes it will quietly announce another scheduling conflict before the March 19th event. But there's one person who knew about O'Reilly's attitude, and if he had a soul, he would have had the decency not to expose this group to his bitter hypocrisy. And that, of course, is Bill O'Reilly, today's worst person in the world.